Hi everyone, my name is Steph and welcome back to the Novelty Corner. Today I am really excited to help announce the Love in the Night Readathon, which is a paranormal romance readathon taking place from November the 8th until the 14th. This readathon was created and is hosted by Shay from Shay Geeks Out, and there is a whole stack of co-hosts including myself, and I'm so excited. The other co-hosts are Laura from Laura's Library Card, Izzy from Happy for Now, Tamika from Library of Tomes, and Crystal from Crystal's Bookish Life. So I will leave a link to everyone's channels down below so that you can check them out and see their announcement videos as well. This readathon is a bingo board challenge readathon, which you guys know by now, if I'm going to do a readathon, it's going to be a bingo card one because I actually find them quite relaxing. There are 12 challenges on the bingo board, including reading prompts as well as action prompts, and there is a group book. The group book is actually Barista and the Bear by Rebel Carter, which is a Kindle Unlimited novella, so it's quite short. I think it's only about 117 pages, and it's a fated mates bear shifter romance. Obviously, being a paranormal romance readathon, that is our focus. We are really focusing in on those paranormal romance stories that include vampires and werewolves and shifters and witches and ghosts and anything that you can think of like that. I'm going to talk you through the different prompts on the bingo board, and I'm going to give you a suggestion for each title in case you are not sure what you could read. There will also be a document linked down below where all of the hosts have recommended different books for the different bingo challenges. If you're not interested necessarily in my recommendations, you can definitely get a whole stack more in that link. The first challenge is to read a shifter novel. You guys know that I'm a huge fan of the Side Changeling series. I'm currently doing my reread, so I would be remiss if I didn't suggest Slave to Sensation by Nalini Singh, which is the first book in the series and a book that features shifters. In fact, pretty much the majority of the books, with a few exceptions, feature shifter characters, so even if you're partway through the series, it may be something that you could continue for this challenge. Then there is the prompt to try a different style. Now this one I'm still thinking about. I don't really necessarily have a recommendation that I have read yet that I was going to include for this prompt. However, I am considering reading possibly a web comic for this because that is a completely different style that I would normally read. So some of the ones that I investigated included Devil Number 4, Sub-Zero, and Freaking Romance. So I'm going to spend a little bit more time exploring those and then seeing if it's something that I want to continue for the readathon. But if you do check out our recommendations document, you will see that there are a few other recommendations from the hosts for this particular challenge. The next challenge is to follow all of the hosts, and if you click the links down below, you'll be able to do that pretty easily. You can tick that off before the readathon even starts. Then there is the challenge to read a book by an author of colour. For this, I would recommend Mating the Huntress by Talia Hibbert, which I read really recently, and that's also a novella, so it's pretty quick and easy to read. It's a great book to read for a readathon. The next challenge is to post your TBR. Now this could be on YouTube, it could be on a blog, it could be on social media, but we would love to see what you're planning on reading for this readathon. After that, you have the challenge to read a sequel. This could be any paranormal series that you started. Most paranormal romance books are parts of series, so this should be fairly easy, but you may start a series for this readathon and then read the next book, so that would also count. Then there is the challenge to read a vampire novel. For this, I'm going to recommend Reborn Yesterday by Tessa Bailey. I think this is a pretty accessible book, and this is probably a really good one to read if you are either new to vampire stories or if you want to read something a little bit different to the really popular vampire books in the book community. The next challenge is to read the group book, which I mentioned was Barista and the Bear. So that one's pretty easy to tick off if you join us. Then there is the challenge to read a host favourite. So we all recommended a favourite book or a series, so depending on whether you wanted a little bit more flexibility in continuing on in the series, we've all recommended something for you. My recommendation was Wolf Gone Wild or Don't Hex and Drive by Juliet Cross, which is part of the same series. The first book follows a werewolf and a witch, and the second book follows a vampire and a witch, so you have plenty of variety in there and you could possibly double up on a challenge if you needed to. You also have the challenge to post your wrap-up, so when you have completed the readathon, sharing what you have read, either, again, YouTube, blog, Instagram, Twitter, whatever social media platform you prefer, you can share your wrap up there. The second last challenge is to read an LGBTQIA+ book. For this, I'm recommending Beckoning Blood by Daniel DeLorme. I had to throw in an Australian author in here. I read this book last year before I heard Daniel speak at the Melbourne Writers Festival. This is a vampire story. It is also a love story throughout time, and I really enjoyed it. And I'm thinking about reading the sequel to it as part of the readathon. And then finally, the last prompt is to read a Booktube darling. There are so many really popular paranormal romance series out there. The one I'm going to recommend is Immortals After Dark by Cresley Cole. Granted, I've only read the first book in the series, A Hunger Like No Other, but it is a series that I do want to come back to, so I'm going to recommend that as my Booktube darling for you today. So those are my recommendations for the challenges. closer to the readathon, I will have a TBR that I post that has what I'm specifically planning on reading. As I mentioned at the start of the video, there is going to be a whole lot of information listed in the description box, so please check out all of the links, go visit all of the hosts, find out a little bit more information, and then if you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments bar. We would love to be able to answer those for you. I'd also love to know if you think that you might join us, even if it's only to read one book, one paranormal romance book in that week. That would be fantastic. I hope that wherever you are in the world, you are staying safe and healthy, and I will see you in my next video. Thanks for watching, everyone.